All right, here we are. Geoff Waterman, James Forbes, Season 2, Episode 6 of the Canada Throws podcast. We're coming at you live here on a important night for Canadian hockey. We're taking on our 11th province today to see who will reign supreme.
Nice.
You're going to watch the game after this, Reimer?
Yeah, we'll fire it up here.
Yeah, same. I thought it started at 7, so I had the TV all ready to go, and so I could sneak up to see if they scored. But it doesn't start till 8. I don't need to watch the pregame. I already know what's going on, so
Yeah.
let's get into her. So I guess tonight's, we didn't have any big events last week. We had a few regionals going on, so I guess tonight really, tonight's topics anyhow are going to be, kind of unevent related, which is good. But really, we're gonna dive into Canada Throws to start off and just talk about kind of where it came from, where we're at, where it's headed. So if anyone doesn't know, back when Canada Throws started, it was Mike Nielzarek, Moondog. He started it by himself, and he kind of kept it hush-hush. He never, for the first probably 6 months, people would ask him, oh, who's running this site? And he would just say, a group of cornhole enthusiasts. And it went like that for a long time. And everyone was always trying to figure out who it was. I know Corey, I remember I had some Canada Throws stickers in Niagara, and I was handing them out. He's like, I thought it was Moondog. And I'm like, no, it is. So, we kind of started off with like social media stuff, right? Just like really the positive promotion of all things Canadian cornhole. And it's just evolved from there, into the podcast and now Team Canada Throws. And I really think the sky's the limit for this.
Yeah, I think I might not know exactly how it started and the processes that worked up to what it is now, but just having another positive influence on cornhole in Canada was definitely something nice to see. Always posting about the positive things that are happening within the game here. So yeah, Canada Throws was definitely a nice little added addition to the program.
Yeah, and that was always Mike's goal, right? Was just to have, always be the positive stuff. There's so much bitching and moaning and complaining, and we didn't want to get behind any of that. It was always promoting the players, promoting the leagues, promoting the organizations. And, when we started, it was never about promoting maybe the best players. It was promoting those players that were just out there being positive, having fun, enjoying the game, building those communities in the different areas, because you and I both know that's super important locally and regionally is having those communities. Our league members show up. I have league members that are, good friends now that just met each other or met playing cornhole.
Yeah, just in general, I think, we're talking about cornhole here tonight, but in any sport, having a positive influence or a positive spin on things going on in that community is always going to be for the betterment. So as I said, having Canada Throws pop up and kind of continue to support all levels of play and showcase all levels of play through social media and stuff was a great asset for us to have here.
Yeah, and so we would promote everything, and then I got my part-time job with ACL Canada, or the ACL running not running their social media in Canada, but contributing to the content that gets posted there. And so I took a bit of a dive with the Canada Throws and just kind of focus more on the ACL stuff, but really driving the players that are playing it, and also rule changes. Like we've gone over the pro stuff. Like we had that first in August, right, when the pros for this season were announced. You and I went live and announced all the pros because we got access to that information. there's a lot of stuff that doesn't go out on the ACL main page that definitely we take care of here. I've got a post coming out tomorrow that I find super interesting. It's as most people might know or might not. I guess it would depend if they read the player's guide. But this year there's a player engagement points and the director engagement points, right? So those, both of those point systems are basically you get points by playing or points by running events if you're a director, and you win prizes. So I've got a post coming out tomorrow that shows the top 10 in Canada. Spoiler alert, number 1 is a league member of yours.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I already know who it is.
Yes, of course you do.
I do.
He goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. You see who's been playing the most events, and then they win prizes as they go. It's all like a tiered thing. But I've got the post coming out tomorrow, and it's just the positive stuff that the ACL does as they try to grow the game. I mean, there's always a lot of negatives about the software compared to Scoreholio.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, Scoreholio is a software company, and the ACL is a cornhole league. So, I mean, I know that they're working on new software. I don't know how long that's going to take.
Right. No, I think that having some of these, that points program for your directors and for your players, I think it gives people to strive for. And again, it just shows appreciation for the guys that are, if you're a director, putting it out there and, hey, you're running events and you're getting people involved and that sort of thing. And then it also recognizes the players that are, really supporting the ACL program and showing up to multiple league nights and multiple regionals a month and that sort of thing. So it's a cool way to show recognition to the people that are, really going strong this season.
Yeah, no, it's pretty neat because you see some guys that are, I thought I played a lot and I'm like 180 something, like in the overall ACL. I'm not sure what in Canada because the spreadsheets just show all of the ACL. I mean, I could split it into the country. I did that for this exercise, but I did have to like go through and count. But the directors is one that really, really, really solidifies the growth, I think, of cornhole in Canada. 8 of the top 15 directors in the director engagement points are Canadian.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, East Coast has always been pretty strong with player counts, but having some other guys running multiple nights and, just growing their leagues, everyone's seen the growth within, your local night to your regionals. We've seen big numbers at our opens, with, strong contingent of now Canadian players and a little less Americans coming into those events at the opens. Yeah. So it's just the growth. We've always talked about this, how we're not close to the peak yet. We're always, we're still going up the mountain. So, keeping things positive and moving along is key here. And, I think we still have a ton of room to grow.
Yeah, me too. And I think having, the ACL has put some great people in charge as like their national directors in the US. I'm not sure if you've ever seen how Athena Delgado handles people's criticism online, but it's always so bubbly and positive. I just love it. Like there's no way they could ever turn what she says into a negative or be nasty back to her. Because even when people are criticizing hard, she's fantastic. I love it. I love reading what she writes back.
Yeah, I think again, it's just keeping the positive attitude towards things, and then also you have to be smart enough to recognize when things need a change or things need a tweak.
That's right.
And we're still in the trying stages. I don't think that we've got to the point where we're in the best formulas and the best programs and the best of systems yet, but they're trying new things and they're trying to grow and they're listening to player feedback and director feedback and trying to continue to move in the right direction to get the program exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows how long that's going to take, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still young.
Yeah.
Like I would say, for here in Canada, do you go back to 2020 when it really started? 2021 after COVID, is that when we really say, hey, we really get going, or we're not playing like
I
virtual
mean,
tournaments?
yeah, I guess. I mean, Matt ran his first event in 2016, right? But I
But it
mean, he
wasn't
was just
really,
running a no.
yeah. I mean, when we start running opens and you're getting your conferences in, like what they were doing in the States, like I think that's 2021, right?
Yeah.
So what we're in, just got into 2025, so
Yeah.
we're 4 years at best into the
And
program, and you
yeah, and
know,
even in the US, right? Yeah, I mean, I saw Jeff Reynolds today online posting his 15 anniversary bags. He's been making bags for 15 years and playing for 20.
yeah,
So, I mean, even 20 years is 2005. I mean, I'm sure he was some of the first people playing
yeah,
competitive cornhole.
yeah. So I just think like we're just moving in the right direction. We have to look at also. I think it gets forgotten sometimes that ACL into Canada was an expansion for them. It
Hmm.
wasn't like they started here and this is where the program got going. We were an expansion into Canada. So again, it's going to take time to get to where we need to be, but they are moving in the right direction. They're taking, information they're getting and trying to spin things into a positive manner or into a positive change. Yeah, like I like we just had talked about the kind of the point system for directors and players. So previously, players would get bonuses,
Yeah,
and it would, I think it would I don't want to say ruin the standings, but skew the standings
for
with
sure.
player bonuses and how many events. You go play an extra event, and now you're being rewarded individually for showing up and playing those events. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good change. Give the individuals that are playing, something outside of the box, and where we're still holding our standing strong in a proper format, I guess you would say. So
Hmm.
again, we're gonna get there. It's just gonna take time, and we just got to keep moving forward and keep with the positive change.
Yeah, and I mean, that all ties in with Canada Throws too, right? As the ACL evolves, Canada Throws has also evolved, as cornhole has evolved across the country. Canada Throws it is evolving. I used to spend, a whole day on the weekends doing up those player spotlights and then um, planning to put them out for the month in my calendar. And I kind of got away from those and started doing other things. Promoting the events, still promoting great players, and still promoting our organization and great players from across the country that are playing our events, but less focus on that individualistic type thing and more of the community model.
Yeah, for me with Canada Throws, like it kind of thrown together. I'd always once you got involved, it was a little bit more visual to people, I think, and kind of put a face to it with you and Moondog, and then it kind of started out with the stickers, and then for me, really, it jumps on board with with the podcast here, right? Like
Yeah.
we kind of throw something together to announce pros last August, and it goes good, and we make another video, I think at provincials or something,
Yeah, the top one
and
I
it
think
goes
it's got the
good, and then it
comfort.
just
Yeah.
becomes something here where we're really trying to promote and put out good information and information related to Canadian cornhole.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for me, I think it's good. Realistically, me and you would have these conversations throughout the week anyway. Now we're
That's
just putting a an hour podcast every Thursday and throwing it out so everyone can see the same conversations that me and you would have just like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. No, it's 100% true. And I mean, let's not get it twisted. You and I definitely we don't see eye and eye on everything. And I mean, there are negatives, and we both talk about them privately to each other. But we would never talk about that here because that's not what this is about, right?
Yeah.
There's enough of that. Something bad happens, and there's 100 comments about it. Something good happens, and there's one comment. It's always the way it is. So we want to always focus on moving forward, not backwards.
Yeah, like we wear a lot of different hats here. So we're both
Yeah.
regional directors. You have your thing with ACL, helping promote it on the social media platforms. I'm a professional player on the Canadian tour, and we both play, and we help with other things and other committees and stuff that we're on board with. So we wear a lot of different hats in this aspect of in Canadian cornhole. So is it like we've just said? Is it a perfect world? No. Are we trying to make it better? Yes.
Yes.
So again, we're
Yeah.
going to get there, and it's going to take time. Some things are going to move faster than others. Some things are, it's going to be a little bit more of a process to get it to where we want to be. But at the end of the day, the program's going to get to where we want it to be and where it's best for all levels of play.
Yeah, I know. I think you summed it up great there because even when you're moving forward slowly, you're still moving forward, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and I've said that because still for me, this has been my favorite season so far, and I've said that every year that I've played so far. So I think as long as that keeps being true, then I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think again, still growing, still work in progress, but we're getting there. It's going to get to where we want to be. Um, yeah, I think it's going to take a lot more people than just me and you. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah,
it goes all the way from Matt at the top down to Adam and some of the other conference directors with Daniel and Sean and Amber and Aaron out west, and
yeah,
to down to your local director, the guy just running your league night on a Monday night. So
that's right.
it's gonna take all those people to really keep growing the program and keep moving in the right direction.
And I see those new people keep popping up, right? So I mean, this is a great segue into kind of where we've come this season. We've expanded into 3 different provinces, right? BC, Manitoba, and starting tomorrow night, our first ACL League night in Nova Scotia. You have Colin Doyle in Manitoba, Trevor Linfoot in BC, and BJ in Nova Scotia. And you see them and they're excited. They're excited about getting it going, about running these events. Colin from Manitoba, I didn't even know that who he was or that he had even signed up for this local directorship to start running these local events out there. And so now I'm following his league, and he's having great turnouts. And this month in March, he's going to have singles and doubles. I mean, he just runs local tournaments, but it's great for the community. I'm not sure what the population is of Portage la Prairie, but I'm assuming it's like a smaller city is my guess.
Right. Just as you just said there, expansion into 3 other provinces.
Yeah.
Again, just growing, guys. It's still really the starting process of this. And we continue to talk about league popping up here, league popping up here, league popping up here. So it's all good. I mean, we're growing, and it's spreading across the whole country. So eventually we're going to see the results of that. I guess the results would be hopefully bigger tournaments bigger turnouts at the opens, and bigger conferences in your region, bigger regionals when you're hosting those events, bigger league nights with more people getting involved of all skill levels, all ages. So it's all good. It's all good good news.
Yeah, so Portage la Prairie has a population of just under 14,000. They're getting 28 teams out to their doubles, so they got 50 plus players playing there. That's pretty awesome, really.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and he's running just once a month right now, but I mean, who knows what the new year will bring? Maybe he'll start up a league to go along with his tournaments or whatever. I just love seeing the expansion, people getting involved in the ACL formula. For me personally, the first league in Sudbury was another organization, and we didn't have the growth until I started with the ACL. It's a great segue into playing competitive cornhole that they play in the same league that they can see on TV.
Yeah.
And now that we have pros in Canada, I mean, this was 3 years ago before our own pro division. But like James Finley, you have yourself at your league, but James Finley comes up to my league, and now you have an ACL Canada pro, and you're playing with them or against them, and they're a great ambassador to the game as well.
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, when someone just starts out, everyone's been there. Like, I remember the first day I went and played, or the first couple times I played. I remember my first tournament and all that stuff. Like, you have to start somewhere. So having a pro player or a more experienced player at your
Yeah.
league that can kind of guide you through that stuff and be helpful, I think is a huge bonus for people just getting started. And I think also we have to realize too, as directors and as players, and up and down that scale, is that people show up to play cornhole on a league night for different reasons. People show up to play regionals for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some want to be looking for a competitive outlet. Some are looking for a fun night out with their
Yeah.
buddies, or a fun night out with their spouse, or you know any of those things. So it's a great group and a great community, and you know we're just going to keep moving forward here.
Yeah, and it's important to realize that too, right? Not everyone that's going to regional tournaments is looking to see their name in the standings. They're looking for a fun Saturday where they get to play cornhole all day. I mean, for them, just playing the event is enough. They don't care about the points or the standings or any of that, or their PPRs for a lot of them, right? It's just
Yeah.
playing the game.
Yeah, so like I said, I think it's important, as we grow and as there's, more people out of your leagues or regionals, like, be respectful of everyone, and we have a good community that does that. But there's many different reasons why you would want to get in and play this game. So I think we've done a good job at keeping all levels of play open and moving forward. So right now, I think we are in a good spot.
Do you have any league members that have never played a tournament?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, me too. I have a guy that showed up my very first night, Ted, and Ted has never played a tournament, no interest, but he loves coming on Wednesday nights, as long as the Leafs aren't playing.
yeah. I think we would. I would say probably like half of our crew probably doesn't play tournaments.
Really, never played.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like, they just like coming out. We have some couples that come and play.
yeah, yeah,
We have like a table where there's some friends, but then there's like couples, and then it's like the couple's son and his wife.
yeah.
Like I would say probably almost half our crew doesn't fully play regionals, or hasn't gone to a bigger event than a league night.
Right. Yeah, and then you'll have that other small group of players that'll play some regionals, right?
Yeah, I feel like just like for my league and
Yeah.
our players, it's like they either don't play or they play a lot. Like, there's not
Okay.
really, we don't really have I feel like we don't really have a lot of middle ground there on that. We got people that will play like go down play in Delhi, or play our regionals, and then sometimes they'll go play in a local night in Delhi too, or something like
Hmm.
that. So we're a little bit closer together with some other leagues, so they can play multiple times a week if they want to.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have some because I run my regionals in Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie. So I have some league members that will play this play my league nights regularly, and then they'll play in my regionals in Sudbury, but they would never travel out of town to go to an event. And then you have the group of my league members that will travel to the Sioux, but probably a regional is as high as they're going to go. And then, you get that handful of people that are open to travel and play anywhere because they've got the bug.
Yeah, for me it was like, Iggy always tells a story about when we first started playing. I was like, man, I'm never driving more than 10 minutes to play this. I ain't getting in no car. I ain't staying at a hotel. I ain't doing none of that. Um, but I like outside of Cornwall, I like to travel, and I love like
Yeah.
weekend trips
Yeah.
and
No,
those
me
things.
too.
And I did professional wrestling for a long time, and then we played baseball together, a bunch of my buddies. So we're always traveling, 3 or 4 weekends of the summer to go play in tournaments or provincials or nationals or whatever, right? So Cornwall kind of just filled the void on all that stuff. I
Filled that
didn't
void. Yeah.
necessarily like the drives in wrestling, but I mean, I got to go and see basically almost all of Canada and the northeastern part, the central part of the U.S. for the most part, wrestling. And now with Cornwall, we got to. I've been from one side of the country to the other, so it's been fun.
Yeah. and honestly, very similar for me. I was involved with tournament paintball for better part of almost a decade in the early 2000s, and it's not a whole lot different. Like I'm talking like professional paintball in the U.S. I used to travel in the U.S. setting up like NPPL and PSP events, like the biggest pro events they had. World Cup at at Disney World, 3,000 athletes. 70 vendors, just these giant events. And it was the same thing, just traveling all around the U.S. 5-6 times a year, going and setting these things up. And then I played paintball as well. I mean, obviously that's how I got into it. But then the playing took a back seat because the working, I was like, oh, it was getting to be too much. And then paintball players are a pain in the ass, just like cornhole players, to be honest. So so it was the same thing. And then I just felt like working at, I mean, I was kind of over traveling so much. I was, flying 20-30 times a year, small child. So it was just, I was over it. But I mean, it's very, very similar. I saw some really, really cool things. Like we used to set up a tournament every year in Huntington Beach on the beach. We would roll turf. Yeah, we'd roll turf out over the sand. All the courts were right on the beach. The players would stage in the parking lots. I mean, it was we would have celebrity games. Like we had Lincoln Park, Cypress Hill. You had their own team called the Stoned Assassins. Like Be Real was like super into paintball. I mean, it was awesome. But with everything, I mean, sometimes it's time for a change. But that it always comes back to that same thing, right? Traveling with your friends, being with that group of people, no different than being on a baseball team. And now we do that same thing with cornhole. And now I'm lucky enough to share it with my son too, who actually ditched me last night for league night and stayed home and hung out with his mother, who also ditched me for league night.
Wow.
Yeah,
Judy.
I went upstairs to get him. Like, come on, it's time to go. Okay. I go upstairs. I'm like, what are you doing? I said, oh, you don't want to go. He's like, I just want to stay with mother. She's going on a vacation next week, so I think he was getting a little lonesome for her.
Okay.
So anyhow,
Okay.
I called him a traitor and went off to league night.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we both kind of concluded on that is like, for us, for me and you, we're always looking for one that we can be competitive in.
Yeah.
2, you get to hang out with a good group of people, your buddies, and you get to travel a little bit. So cornhole for us has filled all those voids. Does it have to fill that exact void for everybody? No, like we just talked about. Some people are perfectly happy showing up on a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday night, throwing some bags and going home and just going out for a night and having a good time.
Yeah.
So, but for us, for me and you, and for a lot of players across Canada, it is something that they can do on a competitive level and have some fun while they're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean that just leads us back to this growth, right? Is just keep getting those new players in and making sure that they have positive experience playing cornhole. Like you and I talked about this off air for a minute, but pickleball is the fastest growing sport in North America. Has been for about 3 years. There is 1.37 million pickleball players in Canada. I mean I can get the numbers of how many competitive cornhole players there are because that's people playing pickleball in the court in the park as well. Like I'm not sure exactly how they get those numbers because there's a lot of people in Canada that just play cornhole at the trailer park or camping that would never be included that don't even know that leagues exist. My league member is in Mexico right now and he ran into a couple from Sudbury. And the guy loves cornhole and never knew that the league existed. Just because, I mean, it's hard to get it. I mean, if you search cornhole in Sudbury, it would pop right up. But at the same time, it's hard to even know that it does exist. That's why I think being more out there and, having all this social media stuff is definitely helping that aspect.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing I always talk about with people that are, either looking to get information or, they pop up. You know, how many you run a league and you run regionals or whatever. How many times do you have someone come up and say, "Man, I'd love to come try it." I think with cornhole, you just got to get them in the door one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we did the Santa Claus parade back in November, and we had really good feedback from that. And a lot of people asked questions and wanted information, but you got to get them through the door one time.
Yeah.
So I think maybe where it's a little different for some of us would be like, you know, if I go out to the park on a Sunday with my kids or something, they might see pickleball out there. Pickleball being played outside for the most part is pretty visible. I do know that there's indoor
Yeah.
stuff too, but like for example, when I play my league nights, it's inside. So unless you're inside where we're playing, you're never going to see it, right? So
That's right.
I think the social media aspect is really good, and like I've said before, and the cornhole community here all across Canada does a really good job about getting out into your community and you know, kind of giving back to some charities and some organizations.
Yeah.
So I think continue to do that across the country will really go a long way in keeping that trajectory of growth here in Canada.
Yeah. Do you think that there's something about racket sports that just attracts, like, I mean, obviously pickleball was invented originally for, people as they got older and maybe aged out of tennis or badminton and then needed still a form of physical. I mean, so there is that aspect too, right? There is exercise, there is fitness when it comes to pickleball. I mean, it's not a lot, but it definitely is harder than it looks, and there is that element of you're getting exercise and staying healthy. Where in
Yeah,
cornhole is more
mental. I
and
think
strategic. Yeah.
it's more of a mental strategic game than necessarily physical. But I knew at the
Yeah.
end of a day of throwing bags, I'm pretty
Oh,
tired.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that,
No, 100.
that
Yeah,
arm
no,
is hanging off.
100%. Yeah.
But I think for some of the differences might be, yeah, the physical aspect of it. I think for pickleball, one thing that popped up to me, like we were talking beforehand, is I think that celebrity involvement in
Yeah.
pickleball seems a little bit more out there than it is with cornhole so far. Um, you know, through social media, through TikTok videos, or through Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Um, Again, I think we're working on that. They do the celebrity, you know, the celebrity games there down in the States with the pros, but right now it seems to be mostly tied with NFL players. Um,
Yeah, right. We were,
they-
we, we were on Jersey Shore, right? The ACL was on Jersey
yeah,
Shore when the situation was on there. There was a fair bit of coverage
yeah.
right on Jersey. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I think maybe if they moved, like, you know, saying where there could be growth, maybe something to help us. Maybe if they moved off of just the NFL guys. Now, I mean, the conclusion of being the NFL celebrity guys is that they play um, where the Hall of Fame is every year, right? That's kind
Yeah.
of where the last open is of the season normally.
And then at the Super Bowl, they played at the Super Bowl
Yeah, and
this
they
year.
play at the Super Bowl, so they played at the Super Bowl this year. So, again, it's just trial and error with some things, and some things are going to move a little bit better than others. You know, maybe pickleball moved a little quicker at the start, but maybe it's gonna, you know, not have the same peak that cornhole could have. We're not going to know
Maybe.
that until you know, years down the road here.
Because costs, I mean, really, cornhole, if you're a local um, player only, a league player only, I mean, you don't need your own bags. So it's going to cost you 10, $15 a night, once a week, pretty affordable, with the chance of maybe winning a few bucks back, right? I know a couple of my league members play pickleball as well, and it's about $5 for 2 hours to play pickleball. And same thing, all the equipment's provided. Now, if you get into it, I'm not sure how much a pickleball racket is, but even if you were just gonna
Got to
have
be pretty
one,
similar to a set of bags, I would
gotta
think.
be, gotta be the same, yeah. So as far as affordability and accessibility, I mean, it's I guess pickleball is more accessible. I mean, I don't see any cornhole boards set up in our local parks, and
Not yet.
yeah, not yet. Even in Copper, like I live in a small suburb of Sudbury. Sudbury's weird because it was built around all these small areas were built around mines, right? So I live in Coppercliff, and we just had our basketball courts or our tennis courts redone, and they took out two of the three tennis courts, put in pickleball and basketball as well. just kind of keeping up with the time. So I think when it comes to racket sports, Matt was telling me about this sport. One of his suggestions too was that, it does attract a different type of person. Racket sports are a little bit elitist, right? So as people are playing, maybe they're coming up through the time, playing their tennis and having tea, and now they're going to go play pickleball.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I never played tennis or pickleball.
Nah, it wasn't for me either.
No.
I, I I think it's maybe a model to look at. I think by looking at anything, any other sport, there must be something to gain, or
Yeah.
something that we could do better by following something maybe they're doing, or take an idea from what they're doing to spin it our way and make it better for cornhole. Yeah, like pickleball's definitely really grown here, but again, I don't think you're really going to know the peak of the mountain for a few more years. So I'm not putting cornhole out of it yet. We're still in the race.
No, and neither am I. I just what I want is to see what they have and see if we can not replicate that, but use some of that, just like you were saying. Because pickleball also boasts those same things that we boast: community, um, you know, easy to learn, hard to master. These are the same things that we talk about at cornhole. I have a new league member comes in, and they're having a hard time the first night, and I tell them, don't worry, it doesn't take long for you to be okay at this. It doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think if we looked and took a look at all those sort of recreational sports, I'm sure there's something that you could pull from
Yeah.
all those different things to help with growth or game planning, tournament style, whatever aspect you're looking at of the game, and find something that you could pull to help better the game. But at the same time, I think each individual game is unique to itself. So again, it's all about just keeping moving in the right direction. And I think for the most part, we're doing that. In some aspects a little faster than others, but at the end of the day, we'll get to where we want to be and where the players want us to be.
Yeah, and you're right with there that the visibility is, I think, one of the major things. You see any of these sports that you don't know about, or don't know that there's competitive version of it, you have to see it to know that it even exists. And when we're stuck away inside, no one sees that, right? This year, a guy reached out to me from, we run a big Canada, Sudbury puts on a big Canada Day thing, as every town does, down by the lake. And, he asked me if I would run a cornhole tournament this year. Usually in the summertime, I spend my weekends at camp, but I think I'll just take that one day, can run, a fun social, bring your own partner type tournament, and just, introduce people to the game. Or these are all the people that are going to sign up for that are going to be people that play in their campgrounds already.
Yeah. Yeah. So just like we were saying there, people playing in campgrounds or, fundraisers or whatever, cornhole's out there. It's just getting everybody to, I think what we're looking for is finding a way to get people to play a little more consistently. Maybe
Yeah.
that might be the way. I've ran fundraisers for sports teams here. We've ran a few over the course of the years, and it seems like the same people will come out and play that, but they might pop in for a league night here. 4 months down the road might pop in for one here. So maybe getting some players out more consistently. But maybe it's a little different too, because a lot of league play is played during the week.
That's fair. Yeah.
So if you got kids, you might be tied up in the wintertime. It might be basketball, volleyball, and hockey. In the summertime, it's baseball and whatever else they can get into. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something too. I'm not quite sure. But again, I think if you can take some ideas from probably anywhere and help you out down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, like you said, we're on the right path. It's just trying to find ways to get more bodies in the door, and those bodies coming back because you and I are obviously we're all in on this cornhole thing. I mean, we love playing it. We love organizing events. We enjoy the people involved with it. So we think it'd be a great addition to anyone's social pastimes, right?
Yeah, I think it's an easy game to get out and play. A little different than some where you can enjoy a drink or some food while you're playing.
Yeah,
Very social. You know, if you played on a basketball team, you might be interacting with 6 or 7 people that night. On any given league night, maybe you're interacting with 40 different people. All ages can play it. So, we might have someone as old as 65, 70 in our league, and a kid comes out and plays that's 10 or 11, right?
that's
So,
right.
like we talked about earlier, you can have all different reasons why you want to come out and play. You can be all different skill levels. So I think that's a huge. Those things are huge bonuses for cornhole. And again, we got to just keep moving in the right path.
Yeah, well, I mean, our podcasts usually get between 1,000 and 10,000 views. If everyone that's listening that plays in a league, bring a non-cornhole friend this week to league night. Boom.
Bang.
There's
There we
another.
go.
Yeah, there we go. We just fixed that problem.
Yeah, that was easy. Next.
What are some of your favorite moments this year, James? We're halfway
Favorite.
through the season here.
Yeah. Favorite moments. I think like as we talked about earlier, I look at it differently sometimes with being a director, a player, and then being as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as a player, as a pro, I really enjoyed having an open right off the hop.
Yeah.
So that Calgary Open was, something I really enjoyed. Getting right into the season where, before we had played 3 or 4 months before we get into it, with an open or a big event like a conference. So having something off the jump, I really like that. I thought it was a good time of year to visit Calgary too.
Yeah.
Tying in that vacation and playing cornhole. I think as a director, I like seeing a lot of the juniors. I think the
It's been a
juniors is, yeah,
yeah.
it's good to see like where we play in a bar. It is the back kind of auditorium hall part of the bar, but we never really were getting kids, and we've gotten a few this year. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to see, and some of the juniors have gotten wins at big level events. And I think for me at the bottom of it too is like the camaraderie amongst people. We kind of gravitate towards the same people when you get to the big events. Not that I
Mm-hmm.
don't socialize with other people, but I've got to know some of the pro players obviously because we're around each other a lot. But we get somewhere and we always end up kind of being together talking about stuff. And there's a few
Yeah.
other guys. I don't want to really say Nyan, I guess. But Nyan, I just look forward to when the big events come around to seeing those guys, Dion, and as much as I bust Derek Barrett's balls, like I like seeing Derek
Yeah, no, me too.
and Andrew and the girls, and the guys from Quebec are great too. Like we said earlier, we really have a good community um, at the pro level and at all levels. Like I like seeing a bunch of different people throughout the weekend. So I guess that would be where I'm at. I love seeing the juniors. I loved having Calgary right off the jump, and then just like seeing some of the guys and the girls that are playing the game.
Yeah, no, the first thing I had on my list was the juniors as well. I think we've seen a huge growth in the juniors in Ontario especially. And I mean it is moving across the country as well. Last year in April, Calgary didn't
Calgary's
have a
an April, yeah.
didn't have a juniors event.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did in October, and now they have 15, 20 juniors that are coming out to those Mad Hatter Junior Days, and they're getting some decent players. I know there's a few junior names from out west. Noah Haynick's one of them that people are starting to talk about.
Off the top of my head, was there juniors in Newfoundland? I can't remember.
No, there's never been a juniors in Newfoundland, and
So let's get it going.
I'd be surprised if there is this year.
Let's get it going. We need 6. That's all we need. It's a start. 6.
Yeah, so we got Mason
6
and
at the
Jude.
Open. Who do we got?
Mason and Jude.
Well, is Jude going to be a traitor, or is he going to show up?
No, he's showing up. His mom's coming.
Mm. I know I've been getting hounded if I'm going or not. I don't know. Are you going? Let's go to Newfoundland. Let's go. We'll see.
Yeah, no.
We'll see.
100% you're going. You're
I
so full of
might. I
shit.
might not. You never know. Never know.
You you were like dead set against Drummondville, and you said
I almost drove there.
you
I
almost
literally almost got in the car and drove
yeah,
there. Yeah, that's true. We played league nights on
100%.
Wednesdays, and I was like, Biggs, what do you think? He's like, well, if you want to go. I was like, nah, no. But
Biggs is down. Hey, that's a good friend.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm in.
St. John's is probably more of a possibility than Drummondville. We'll see where the hand's at by then.
Yeah, so we got Mason, Jude, and maybe Ludovic. I would bet Ludovic will be there. I haven't asked him or his dad. There's a huge language barrier between me and his father because I don't speak French and his father doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Ludovic is bilingual, so I just communicate to him.
Yeah.
And then Derek, because I was talking to Derek about this, and I think there is a couple of kids that come out the odd time when there's somewhere that allows the kids, because a lot of places they play unfortunately don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I think definitely with a lot of newfies traveling to different opens this year, and they see the juniors, is definitely something that they've talked about and want to happen. So I can see that start to happen in the near future. But I mean, I would definitely think they're trailing behind the rest of the country now as far as the junior program goes, obviously.
Yeah, so far, I mean, but
Yeah.
a great start would be having that junior program run at the Open in St. John's. So
that's what
we
we
can
need.
Get 6. That's all we need. Let's get it. Let's get it done.
Oh, and Amy King just said Frankie will be there, so we might be up to 4
there
already.
We go.
Yeah,
there we
go. Honestly, I think Matt will still run the event with 4. So
we just need 2 more.
Yeah, I mean I see it happening. If we have 4 traveling from out of province, I'm sure they can round up a couple.
Yeah, let's get it done.
Another couple of personally playing wise, my big good memory was that 4th place finish in men's singles at provincial. I felt that was the best I've probably ever played. It felt really good, so that was nice. Personally, but also just as far as cornhole goes, a couple of my things were, the early season Quebec dominance, and then the little bit of a turn because it seemed like maybe the rest of the country caught on and worked a bit harder in between Niagara and Drummondville, and kind of pushed back a little bit. I don't think that we hadn't seen a lot of French players in the pro division, just Carl and Guillaume and Jocelyn, and then we got flooded, and they were all just as good and started winning. So I think it was a bit of an eye-opening thing for the rest of the country. Another big one for me is some of the Sask players going to Alberta and playing those regionals. They play CCL there in Saskatchewan, and they travel into the States a bit for some Scoreholio tournaments. I think the odd ACL tournament in North Dakota. I would love to see some of those guys travel the open circuit and see them. Yeah.
Or national championship. Yeah. I think on the thing with Quebec, I think that some of the some of the guys gotta, probably had to pull their socks up and go, okay, it's time. Like I agree on that statement where I think, they might have surprised a few people for sure. So
yeah,
we'll see. We got one more open here in Newfoundland. We'll see what happens. If you just get them on the booze, maybe, and drinking Screech and kissing fish, maybe we'll turn the tides.
Oh, that's a good idea, because it might be our best bet. I don't know. I don't see a lot of them. A lot of them don't drink a lot.
I know. Yeah. Might not work. I'm gonna have to trick them somehow.
Yeah, trick them. Yeah, exactly. And then for me, just like we talked about the expansion into 3 more provinces. I think that's huge. You know, we had 4 provinces last year. Now we're at 7, and the expansion in Alberta as well. I mean, last year was just Aaron and his league, and now there's 4 leagues, and they're running regional tournaments, and they got plans for a provincial tournament in the late spring. So it's just the growth. It just keeps growing. BC is trying to plan for an April regional as well. We'll see how BJ's league starts off going in Nova Scotia. But, you know, he would be in that same boat, and it's just getting the people in the door and doing all the groundwork. And in Ontario, we're lucky because we've been around for a few years. But, I mean, especially in Nova Scotia, this is all brand new to them. There really wasn't any other, the odd little recreational league with red and blue bags. And now, you know, it's starting to come into the next level.
Yeah, again, still growing here. Seeing the expansion in some of these, and you know, there's can be further expansion in some of the places that are more established. So we could see more leagues pop up in Newfoundland, more leagues pop up in Ontario, Quebec, and Alberta. But again, seeing the expansion with BC and some of the other prairies and Nova Scotia, that's great to see, and you know, hopefully that continues to be the case. More growth.
Yeah, and then with the Saskatchewan players heading out to Alberta, you know, we added 1 more member, and this will be the last member of Team Canada Throws for the rest of this season. But another young girl, 15 years old, Presley Bohm from Saskatchewan. She's the real deal. Her PPR is just about an 8. Throws really well. She's been playing, you know, 3 or 4 years, and we're all happy to have her on the team. And I know that she'll represent us well out west. And you know, talking to her dad, hopefully we can meet them at one of these opens sometime soon. But I'm looking forward to see how she does this weekend, and I know that she'll rep us well.
Yeah, that's a nice little
You
ad
saw
there.
Presley play, eh? You've seen her play in
In
Laval.
Laval.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was there in Laval, but I guess at that time she would have been only 11 or
13,
12.
14. Yeah, it was 2
I think
years
because it
ago.
was it was
2023.
before I was pro.
Yeah,
So
just before.
was it
It was the summer of
before?
23.
Yeah, so I guess she would have been 12 or 13. But yeah, people were talking about her then, so
Yeah.
I'm sure she's only gotten better since then. And like you said, her PPR almost touching 8. So I mean, she definitely has the credentials to be a really good player, and it looks like she's on pace to be. So it'll be interesting to see how you know, how she develops her game over the next bit of time. And yeah, I'm glad she's on board.
Yeah, and I mean this Team Canada Throws thing too. This kind of started, you know, I kind of had a logo made. I made that logo and got some jerseys made, and then I was like, this is really cool. And then I just kind of started expanding it. And then I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I could sponsor a few junior players. You know, Matt and Octane Cornhole are making a Team Canada Throws bag now, so you know I have the gear that I get made. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sponsor a couple of teenage girls. Maddie and Presley are both the same. They're born the same year. They're the same age, and I love to be able to support the junior players. And I'm hoping that next season we can add a few more members to the team from other provinces as well. And honestly, I mean, it'll probably be junior players. I'm not really in the market for paying for adults to play a hobby. So I love sponsoring juniors. And, you know, I would love to have a junior in Newfoundland when they come around. You know, Alberta, there's a few names out there. BC as well. They don't really have too many juniors right now, but the same thing, and just build this strong team across the country that can dominate for years to come.
Yeah, so I think first things first is we got to find a way to get a couple more in St. John's for that junior
Yeah.
at the Open. I think having those kids show up and play at an Open is a huge experience. I know the field may be small, but playing on, you know, in those buildings on that stage, I think it's a great experience for the young guys and girls. So let's get that one going for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll be working on that with Derek and Sean and Amber, just bugging everyone in Newfoundland. I know Derek's neighbor kid plays cornhole. I'll just tell him sign him up.
Derek probably plays them for money and takes it from him.
I wouldn't be
A jerk like
surprised.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just before we go, I just Duplicators Sign and Printing, they are a sponsor of my league. Joe and Tracy Lozon have been great supporters of cornhole up here since they started playing. If anyone's ever seen those cornhole board keychains with the different leagues on them, they're the ones that made them. They kind of came up with the idea, and we've sold them to a bunch of different leagues, right? You had some made. I know there's
still
probably
have
about
some,
5 or yeah. And they've always supported me with signage and set up boards and stuff. So they have decided to sponsor Team Canada for Croatia. So they'll be on the jerseys this year. Duplicators will. And that's our first jersey sponsor for the 2025 World Cup in Croatia. And I just think that big shout out to them, because I know that sponsoring cornhole isn't necessarily the most visible sponsorship you can have. We're not kids. We're not on television. Our live streams don't get millions and millions of views. But when these people are passionate about the game, they definitely like to, support us financially when they can. And it's amazing.
Yeah, good on them for jumping on board. I'm sure everybody on Team Canada will be appreciative of that, helping them, go over and represent our country at the World Cup there. So, good job by them.
Yeah, and I think maybe next week's show we'll have some news about some different fundraisers for Team Canada. And I mean, these are going to be fun, putting the fun back in fundraise. We got something going on at Nationals, which will be a good time, and maybe another idea that we were batting around. So we can talk about that too. Good way to just have a good time and support the team. Definitely isn't cheap getting over there, and I think the European countries are catching us, but we're definitely a podium team every single year. We're always a threat to medal. We have it the first two, so I'd like to see that trend continue.
Hopefully that's the case. Yeah, hopefully the boys and girls get over there and have a good time and represent the country, but also get some wins and come home with some hardware.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? At the end of the day, putting in this work to get them there, need a medal.
Yeah.
No medal,
Yeah.
pay it back. You know what? That actually might be something I mentioned. Yeah, no problem. I'll fundraise like crazy. But if you guys don't finish second, then when you come back, you got to pay everything back.
Gotta pay back. Yeah. Every dime.
That's right. We are fundraising for at least a silver medal here. All right, buddy. It is 8:00 and Canada is taking the ice as we speak. So let's sign off and we'll do this again next week.
All right. See you guys.
Okay. See ya.